Tougher sentences for murderers and rapists. The government sets out its plans in the King's speech.
Good morning. It's been a tough time for people both building and buying houses. We get new figures this morning on average house prices. I'll explain what they tell us about the market and what it means for you.
And a man has been found guilty of the attempted murder of two elderly men whom he set on fire. In two separate attacks in Birmingham and West London, Mohammed Abkor followed his victims from a mosque before spraying them with petrol and setting them alight in February and March this year. British Steel is planning to shut down its traditional blast furnace and replace it with two electric arc furnaces, putting up to 2,000 existing jobs at risk in the northern English town of Scunthorpe. Construction is expected to take between 2 and 3 years as part of its Chinese parent company's plan for a green and sustainable future.
Post office customers will have the option to send parcels over the counter using DPD or Evri delivery services for the first time. This ends Royal Mail's 360-year monopoly on post office parcel deliveries. The new service will begin before Christmas in some areas. There's been a surge in a number of people driving away from petrol stations without paying for their fuel. The RSC Foundation says there were almost 40,000 cases of fuel theft between July and September. That's an increase of 77% compared to the same period last year. And just 1% of firms in companies with high carbon emissions have laid out future spending plans to meet long-term decarbonisation goals. Researchers at the London School of Economics found that only 1 in 20 companies have revealed how they will meet their greenhouse gas targets. They include HSBC, Vodafone and Microsoft.
Today's newspapers, shall we? We're going to start this morning with The Guardian. They're leading with the ongoing conflict in Israel and Gaza. So this image that you can see here shows devastation at a refugee camp in Gaza. The paper reports that shelters run by the United Nations are so crowded it's impossible to count all of those needing help.
The Daily Express leads with the impact here at the fact that the Metropolitan Police have now appealed to pro-Palestinian protesters to call off a march that's set to take place in London on Armistice Day this weekend, reporting a warning from Scotland Yard that the risk of violence in the capital is now growing.
The Eye says the King's speech, setting out the government's agenda for the coming year, will see the monarch forced to announce a shredding of eco-policy. The paper reports that the King, who has long campaigned on climate and environmental issues, will have to hide his true feelings.
And this morning's Times reports that a drug which costs 4 pence a day has been approved as a preventative treatment for breast cancer. Almost 300,000 at-risk women in their 50s and 60s are now expected to become eligible for that drug through NHS England.
Let's start off then with the Middle East and the Times. They're leading with a warning from the UN chief that Gaza is becoming a graveyard for children. The Financial Times reports on the growing pressure for a humanitarian ceasefire. The Guardian also leading with the conflict with the headline, Gaza's despair. Everyone is just concentrating on survival. Now, the front page of the Daily Mail has a story of an elderly poppy seller being punched by protesters at a pro-Palestinian rally. And the front page of the Daily Express there, as you can see, reading their police call of protest on Armistice weekend to avoid violence. Elsewhere, Michelle Monet's shock. Finally, she admits to her PPE link, reads The Mirror, with the story on Baroness Monet admitting to her involvement in a £200 million pandemic PPE deal. Now, on the front page of the Metro, around 300,000 women at risk of breast cancer will be offered a new drug to decrease their chances of developing it. On the front page of the Eye there, their headline there, Green King forced to announce shredding of eco policy. That's a look ahead to the King's speech, which of course will be taking place later today. And the Sun's reporting on Prince Harry flying to see a Katy Perry concert in an oil tycoon's jet. And the Star there leading with a family, pets speaking from beyond the grave to their owners through a psychic. The headline there. Sorry. Bark from the dead. Sorry. I shouldn't laugh, should I, really? And if you want to see any of those front pages again or read the stories, just scan the QR code, which is on your screen now.